A major cold blast is on its way for much of the United States in the coming week. But before that, I'd like to talk about some of the weather that's going on, particularly regions in California, actually, in this forecast. We're looking at how fire weather is impacting the region, and then we're going to talk about this big old cold blast that is projected next week. You can see on our Climate Prediction Center's outlook here, a very cold air is on its way into the U.S., and this will really bring some pretty powerful impacts to many states, especially in the north. Hello, everybody. I'm Palmy. Welcome back to another forecast. And again, we're just looking at the synoptics of the environment right now over the U.S. and what's really going on. So first off, I'd like to talk about the fire weather that's going on. Many people, it's been all over the news. Much of Los Angeles is unfortunately burning. There's lots of fires going on, and this is due to the Santa Ana winds. So a lot of people have probably talked about this already, but I'm going to talk about this on this channel. Talk about what's really going on. You can see on our outlooks here for fire weather, critical has been in place for a while. Not extreme, but there's been this critical fire risk in regions of Los Angeles, and this will continue for at least even up to day 5 here. Just this fire risk over here, just continuing for quite some time here. And the reason why this is happening is because of the upper level winds. So this is our 500 millibar map. We talked about this upper level. We can go to the jet stream as well. You can see this very large troughing feature. But the real issue here is going to be what happens next. So we have this trough back in here. And you can see just kind of that short wave right here. So you can see the kinks in the contours. That's kind of indicative of a little bit of a low pressure trough up there. But as this moves down, you will see it get cut off from the major flow. So what this will actually do is aloft, you're going to get northeasterly wind, which means you have wind coming from the Rockies downslope. So this is bringing a lot of really, really dry air from, higher up in the atmosphere. As the temperature decreases, the dew points also decrease, and it just gets very, very dry air, which is very helpful for fire weather. You want low humidities, and just low humidities is really helpful, but very windy conditions are also very, very helpful as well. And you can see at the surface, if we look down here, let's get closer to California. Um, you can see here, this is a good amount of 20 knot flow in some regions here, but this is not really well shown on models such as these. So this is a localized environment, and you won't see these strong wind conditions pop up on weather models typically. I'll try to use the HRRR, see if it shows anything, but I highly doubt it because Santa Ana winds are very localized. They happen specifically because of the temperature differences aloft and everything, but all that dry air will be affecting down the mountains. You can see on the dew point map, just it's so dry, especially in that region we looked at. Let's go back to our day 1 outlook here. Right in that Los Angeles region down here, really dry, and 11 degrees dew points, just such very, very, very dry conditions. Very, very good for fire weather here. Um, Wind gusts, let's see. Oh, actually, the wind gusts are showing exactly what you'd expect. So the HRRR does have the wind gusts showing. You can see some very strong wind gusts here, gusting up to 30, 40 knots, but again, probably underdone as well. And this is really helping to fuel those fires. You can even see it later there on the Monday again. It's really, really strong wind gusts, upwards of, again, 40s, pretty widespread. Some regions up here even higher. Like, wow, those are really strong wind gusts over much of this region, and for a pretty long time as well. You can even see Tuesday morning. That's a HRRR is a 60 knot bullseye there in that region. So just really helping to fuel those fires, and that's how that happens. You can see our relative humidities are extremely low at the surface, and frankly, most likely very, very low aloft. Let's look at our mixed dew point. This goes from the surface to all the way up to 30 millibars, so basically about as high as you can really go in the atmosphere. And the relative humidities here are just super low because all of your wind is pointing towards the ocean. Now let's take a sounding so you can see our wind profile. Most likely you'll see like the circle in the middle will mostly pointing down slope. A little bit of a mess here, but also you can see that region of very strong stability. So all that, we can look at how bad the dew point is here. Very low relative humidity throughout the entire profile. And the winds at the surface are going down slope, which will really help to fuel any fires. Which is, it's just tragic what's going on. But again, it's all about that cutoff low and the way the upper level winds are looking. And then if we move forward with time here as well, the GFS model has this cutoff low basically just sitting right here. So all these upper level winds are just going to continue to push from the Rockies, towards the surface, and eventually this cutoff low on Friday will go back into the main flow. So this is in about a week even, so pretty far forward. That's when that cutoff low will finally go back into the main flow. and you'll stop seeing as much of those dry conditions. Likely finally seeing some moisture return. See right there. If you look at the GFS model, you get regions on the coastline finally getting some moisture return following that cutoff flow. So here's Thursday into Friday. That cutoff flow becomes part of the main flow again, and you can see the dew points increase right along the coastline. It should help to alleviate the fire risk for a while. But that is why we have that day 5 in place, and the fire risk here. Day 3 and 4 and a little bit of 5 right in that bullseye there. Regarding other weather in the U.S., nothing else really super interesting is going on. We have this little low pressure up here that's causing some snowfall around the Great Lakes, but otherwise not a very intense low. It could bring some colder air, but nothing. And the dew points are not great. The moisture's not great. You're gonna see a little bit of an Arctic blast going on, but that's not really the main concern. Actually, what's really the main concern is in the future. So let's look at our ensemble forecast. I love to use this model because it gives you an understanding of how all the models are agreeing. So the fact that we can go on the spaghetti plot and have basically all the models agreeing on this all the way out to Tuesday even is quite impressive. This is more than 9 days in advance. It's almost 10 days in advance here, and you can see very well these models are showing a pretty broad, large scale troughing feature. If we look on our 500 millibar mean winds now, you can see that trough right there again, kind of centered over Quebec. Not necessarily a specific trough, but troughing over the eastern U.S. is very expected. Now, if we take this and go to the GFS model, we can start to get an idea of what specifics could look like. You can even see some little shortwave troughs that could help to produce some localized snowfall. But the real thing in here is going to be right about this time frame. So if we look right here, as that cutoff low comes back into the flow, you get this very large amplitude, a large scale trough here. And in all seriousness, if this were oriented better, it could be indicative of a severe weather event. And even there could be some severe weather associated with this. As of now, it does not look like there's any outlooks talking about this, but the day 6 through 8 does seem to mention this possibility of this pretty large scale troughing feature and what could be going on with it. So I would keep an eye out for any thunderstorms that day. But the other thing with this is going to be this large cold blast that'll be on its way. So again, we're going to have a lot of northwesterly flow, and this will help to bring a lot of that really cold, really dry air from Canada down into the United States. I'm looking at 850 millibar temperatures here. You can see we get that trough that forms. We talked about the big old trough with the surface low and the associated upper level low that begins to form with that. This is 850, so not really upper level. This is lower level, but you get that lower level low. But you can see a lot of cold air. Again, look at all this cold air associated in Canada right now. And all of your wind vectors, 850 millibars, are advecting this southward. We'll see this on temperature advection right here. Just lots of cold air advection really everywhere. The GFS also, I really love that it has temperature anomalies. So we go to the surface here, you can see how cold this air is on average, like compared to the average here. And this is 30 degrees lower than average Fahrenheit. 30 degrees Fahrenheit lower than average, which is just incredible. And this will be going on over, again, a very large region of the U.S., especially the eastern half. The CPC already has this outlook over here, a very large area of below average temperatures. Really the entire lower 48, apart from Florida, because it's Florida, we'll be looking at very very cold temperatures over this time frame. You can really see it, just the temperature anomalies here, ridiculous. Let's just take, for example, the Midwest. Let's look at Let's look at Wisconsin here. Let's look at this one. On Wednesday, January 22nd, the GFS has a high of 8 degrees, so extremely cold. On some other days here, let's see, Sunday it had even colder. Some regions of Minnesota not even reaching 0. Just very widespread cold temperatures. On Monday, the 20th, on the GFS, I mean, widespread zeros across Illinois. Very, very cold air is on its way. So that's pretty worrying. Again, we see this way in advance, but you can really see on the ensemble, they're all really agreeing on this. I mean, frame 204 here, the contours here are basically all in line. So you can expect this weather going, even though it's very far in the future, you can expect this very cold blast on its way. The European model likely agrees with this as well. A little bit messier, I will say that. That's kind of a mess, but you can see, even so, the pretty large scale troughing feature going on there as well as lots of colder temperatures. don't know what's going on with this, but you can see the colder temperatures over much of the U.S., even on the Euro here as well. So a lot of models are agreeing on this, and that's really the gist of this forecast. I'll probably have another video out about this fire weather going on because it's kind of interesting. I don't talk about fire weather very often, but we can really see the near term, the impacts of it right now. And we'll talk probably about this cold blast as we get closer to the date. There is a little bit of uncertainty, but honestly, the models are just agreeing very well right now on this cold blast happening. So do keep an eye out for that. And if we have any updates on the severe weather possibilities for really next weekends, later next week, I will talk about that in the future. But for now, let's the end of this forecast. Pretty shorter, but I mean, it doesn't have to be super long. I might have a more in-depth forecast in the future. But with that, thank you for watching. If you have any feedback on these videos, or if you like shorter videos, really just anything, let me know in the comments. It helps me out, and I like to know what my people think. So with that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.